I want to make sure that people can get on this and listen to it at another time. Um, Jason Whitney with 3Believe. I appreciate the time that you've taken. It is my job to make sure that you are informed with good, verifiable clinical information and maybe just a little bit entertained. I can't guarantee that. I'm not a professional entertainer. However, I can verify that the information that we're going to provide is accurate, it's scientifically based, and I believe that you'll be intrigued. So, who are we? Why are we here, and what are we doing? For the last 9 years, we've been working on something that's helped a lot of people, tens of thousands of many people, working in the medical community with doctors and clinics and hospitals, helping them to treat their patients in methods other than surgery and medication, which has been the traditional method. And we do it through using specially formulated, I like to call functional foods, special foods to cure the symptoms of metabolic syndrome. So what I'm going to do tonight to start out with is first, I'm going to read a testimony. I love reading testimonies, and I appreciate you sending them in. I'm going to ask you to do something. We've made a page, a Facebook page. Turn down the volume on my phone. I got too much technology going simultaneously here. We've made a Facebook page for you to use in marketing. We'll show you how to use it later. But what I'd ask you to do, all those that have already posted a testimony, I'd like you to take that testimony and go to our Facebook page and you post it. It's so much more powerful when you post it, Facebook tells us, than if we post it for you. It doesn't have the viewership. It's not what Facebook calls a genuine testimony. They don't believe us. They'll believe you. So take your testimony, just cut and paste, and put it right in, so you don't have to rewrite it again. Put it right in to our Facebook page. If you go to on Facebook 3Believe, the number 3 with the word believe afterwards, you will see us. And I ask you that you'll do that. You'll be doing it for yourself because you'll be using that as a marketing tool after we release all of our cool technology that we're building for you. So the more you do it, the better it'll be for you later on. So here is this testimony I just received moments ago, and I just glanced at it and haven't read it. I am excited to share with you what 3Believe is doing for me. This journey began in February 2017 when 3Believe began beta testing. Now, she's referring to our pre-launch period. I was extremely overweight and very discouraged. I have rheumatoid arthritis, and because of my medications I'm on, my doctor told me I'd not be able to lose weight. Since different parts of my body severely hurt, exercise and even walking didn't happen regularly. Merv talked hard to even get me to consider trying 3Believe. I questioned Jason on this before starting. Like most Americans, I had thrown away money after money on things that did not work and didn't want to do that again. Slowly, I started losing about 2 pounds per week. After I'd gone through 3 bags of meal replacement, I emailed Jason and asked him what else I could do. We went over my food diary, and Jason suggested going to the protein 3, that's the P3, meal replacement shakes, and that's what I've stayed on through today. He also suggested intermittent fasting and drinking more water. It has not been easy, but it was possible. I'm very strict. I very strictly have stayed on the eating plan. Good job. I have now lost over 50 pounds and will continue. Congratulations. What a wonderful accomplishment. You must be delighted. I'm able to walk and move much more easily now. Thank you, Jason, for coming up with something that really works. Renee Watson. Thank you, Renee, and you are welcome. That is all the reward I need. for all the work that I've been able to contribute, and it's been a blessing to me as well. So thank you very much, and for those that offer their testimonies. I want to read something to you that again, a tool that we've created. It'll be in a video form, and so what it's for is we have a presentation that I created years and years ago, and in helping doctors, because they're terrible salespeople, helping a doctor be able to educate his patients on what metabolic syndrome was, why it's a big deal, why they should be interested, and why they should start our program. And it was a great success. Over 90% of the people that came to the seminar and listened to the presentation, it's about an hour long, would join, would sign up and start the diet. Great. I mean, just uh, presentation after presentation, the numbers just kept on being over 90%. And so what I've done is I've taken that PowerPoint as a PowerPoint, and then we'd do it live with a person standing there, is recreate that same environment for you to use as a tool. So you can send it to your friends and family. You can use it as a marketing tool to say, look, this is why you should listen to what I'm trying to tell you. And so I've been creating it, writing it in a video script is a little bit different. So I wanted to read to you the first 10 minutes of that video presentation. I want you to take the perspective of a person that hasn't heard about us at all, and this is the first time you've heard this message, and see how it affects you. And you'll see the emotions that we're trying to play into. Now, in the verbiage that I'm going to read, visualize seeing this on the screen. So we'll have animation, and we'll have special effects, and we'll have some graphics on the wall. So I'm going to be reading through numbers and statistics, which can get lost, but they'll be on the screen. So you'll see it. It'll be like going to Star Wars or something. All right, maybe not that fancy. So those of you that don't know that they're here for the first time, this is a great introduction to what in the world we're doing and why you should stand up and take notice. And here we are to start. Unfortunately, we have nearly 70% success at predicting how your life will end. But we have a special program that we want to show you that has nearly 100% success and how you can drop that prediction to zero. The CDC, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, is a federal agency that conducts and supports health promotion, prevention, and preparedness activities in the United States. The goal of the CDC is to save lives and protect people from health threats. To accomplish this, the CDC conducts critical science and provides health information that protects our nation against expensive and dangerous health threats, and responses when these arise and threaten the American people. We will be using the science of the CDC and other leading research labs to show you how to escape from ever being a victim, or how to reverse your symptoms if you already have these terrible health risks. Because our data tells us that you have a greater than 80% chance of having one of these unfortunate health risks, this public announcement is specifically for you. And you receiving these life-saving information is vital. So you'll want to grab some paper and a pen, and we'll be using it a little bit later on. Remember, this is all about you, so grab a paper and pen. If it's easier, you can click right here, and it will download a document that will help you determine what your health risks are. So on the screen, we'll have this little button that they can actually click while they're watching the video, and it will download a little paper that they can print off, and it'll make rather than having use the paper and pen to write down their health risks. Very, very effective. Back to the script. These health risks will affect your everyday living, and if left untreated, will cost you $2,151 a year, just revealed by a national health risk study that was just performed. There is a health epidemic in the United States and many other countries. The CDC reports that it is the largest and most dangerous our country has ever seen. It is spreading so fast that it has already affected the lives of over 80% of the people that you know. Now, unfortunately, you're likely to have at least one of the symptoms already. In this US government CDC study, they determined that more people die from this disease than any other. So the question is, should you turn to medications to solve your problem? Pharmaceutical companies make over $592 billion with medications trying to treat this disease. That is an astounding $1,811 per year for every man, woman, and child in the United States. And yet the number of people affected and the money spent to overcome this disease just continues to grow year by year. It touches the old and the young, the male and the female, and of every race of people. It is so serious that the CDC reports warns that 66% of all those that die this year will be from this devastating disease. Sadly, research has confirmed that surgery and medications can't cure it. But there is good news that it is curable. And there is a reason to be excited because the cure rate is nearly 100%. More good news is that most all people can afford it and have access to it. So that means that it's not out of your reach. This disease is called metabolic syndrome, which is hyperinsulinemia and non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. I'm going to promise you that if you invest the next 42 minutes, I guarantee that you'll be in a much better equipped position on how to rid yourself and your family and anyone else that you care about of this destructive calamity. I'll refer to metabolic syndrome, hyperinsulinemia, and non-alcoholic fatty liver disease as MSX for simplicity. With your investment of time watching this video, this is what you're going to learn. How you can immediately stop the symptoms from progressing and getting any worse. How you can completely free yourself from MSX in as little as 18 weeks. How you can easily and inexpensively get blood results to confirm your levels of risk if you don't already know them and provide it from your doctor. What will happen to you if you do nothing and you continue to do what you've done to get the symptoms that you have right now? How some very simple changes will make all the difference in your health and how you can make it affordable on any budget. So what is MSX? As I've mentioned, 8 out of 10 people you know have at least one of MSX's symptoms already, and these people will get more if changes aren't made. Nearly 50 million Americans already have full-blown MSX, and over 261 million have one of the symptoms. Now, actually, metabolic syndrome is not a disease in itself. Instead, it's a group of conditions, such as high blood pressure, high blood sugar, unhealthy cholesterol levels, being overweight, and having a fatty liver. If you have any two of these medically defined symptoms, you have MSX. I know you may be thinking, how can high blood pressure or being a little bit overweight be that serious of a health risk? Nearly everyone I know has a few pounds to lose or is taking medication for something. Let me share what studies have found about the harmless act of taking medications and being just a little bit overweight. My goal isn't to frighten you, but to give you verifiable facts and you decide how concerned you should be. Nearly 7 out of 10 Americans take at least one drug. Isn't that astounding? And 20% of those 7 out of 10 are taking 5 drugs or more. 49% of the surveyed respondents reported to their doctor that they want to stop taking any drugs at all, and for good reason. It costs too much money, doesn't always make them feel good, and has a long list of nasty side effects when they take the drug. Even though the medication was designed to improve life, we can't ignore that last year alone, there were 128,000 deaths caused directly from prescription use. That's 340 people every single day. Why is the CDC concerned about these startling numbers? The same reason that you should be. Prescription use is on the rise, and it's not, and that rise is not pretty. From 1997 to last year, 2016, prescriptions that were filled increased 85%. It's up to 4.5 billion prescriptions a year now. That's equal to 14 prescriptions for every person in America. Few people know that new prescription drugs are not the same as they were 10 or 15 years ago. The FDA has actually lowered the scrutiny and testing requirements on how to get a new drug passed. Here's some facts from the FDA. Drugs of the Past posted that 1 in 5 old drugs have a chance of causing serious reactions after they were approved for you and me, the public. Few know that systematic reviews of hospital chart records, that even properly prescribed drug, which doesn't include all the misprescribing or people that are overdosing or they're self-prescribing, which basically means we're subtracting all the mistakes and mishandling of a drug, and they were still 2.4 million hospitalizations per year that had serious adverse drug reactions. A systematic study found that of shortened reviews found that the new medications, the ones that are being released recently, have an increase in serious adverse reactions of 18% over the ones that were released 10 and 15 years ago. And people that are hospitalized from medications or these new drugs is up 11%. And worse is these new drugs have a 7.2% increase in deaths. It's important to remember that the older medications already had a 20% chance of a serious adverse reaction, which isn't a good number in the first place, right? But new medications, the ones being released, have increased to a whopping 33%. And that's a horrible 40% increase in serious adverse reactions. Now, I'm guessing that you haven't been told about these increases in medication risk factors. Now, don't get mad at your doctor. No one told them either. They aren't the people creating the actual drug. And don't get mad at your pharmacy. They're just filling prescription that you asked them to fill. If you want to blame someone, stay tuned, and I'll tell you exactly who's responsible. But more importantly, what you can do about it. Even if you've watched a little bit of TV, I'm sure you've noticed the increase of ads for medications. They seem to be everywhere. And how long of the ad is spent on the warnings. It's almost a joke. In a survey, the average ad spends 55% of the time of the commercial talking about all the bad things that will or may happen if you take the drug. Now, what is the FDA's recommendation for us? Their quote is, drug ads include a lot of warnings, probably too many, the FDA says. The agency says no one reads more than half of the fine print in drug ads. And those that do, 55%, it's hard to understand. People are increasingly ignoring risk factors, the agency says, and thus missing some important safety information. Under new proposed FDA guidelines, drug makers will still be required to include black box warnings about the most serious risks, but they wouldn't have to rattle off a laundry list of all the possible side effects. Now, wait a minute. Did we hear that right? The FDA doesn't want us to know all the possible negative side effects that a drug could bring us? So what could we take from this statement from the FDA? That the FDA doesn't care about your health and wants you to die? No, absolutely not. That's not what the good people that work at the FDA really want for you. They just think that you shouldn't focus on all the negative side effects of a drug because it can distract you from the ones that are most serious. Really? Is it possible that we're really missing the most important message of all? And that is that drugs come with a lot of negative, dangerous, and even deadly side effects. Don't forget about the 340 people who die every day from doctor prescribed medications, not illegal drugs? Could it be that drugs are not a solution? They are not a cure. They are a temporary band-aid. They are a treatment. And no drug company ever claims that their drug is offering a cure. They claim it's just a treatment for your illness. What if the best solution, rather than memorizing all the possible side effects of a drug as the FDA is worried about, and remember now that the average American takes 10 prescriptions according to how many are handed out every year, and that requires a big memory of all the side effects. Rather than have the perfect memory, how about you don't take the drug in the first place and you focus on what the cause of the symptom and work on the cause instead? If you deal with eradicating what is causing your symptom, you won't have any negative side effects. Could it be that drugs simply are not the best answer for you? Now, so far, I've spent 9 minutes talking about medications, and you may be asking, why is he talking so much about a harmless little pill? Let me paint a picture of what that 9 minutes went over. Metabolic syndrome is a health risk that affects over 80% of Americans, and those that are affected compared to 20 years ago has grown at epidemic levels. So it's not getting any better, but only worse. Let me put that fact over in one corner. When we have the use of medications added to our lifestyle, medication use over the same 20-year period as the measurement of metabolic syndrome has grown by 85%. And the top 5 filled drugs for 2016 are all those to treat metabolic syndrome, leading with high cholesterol, thyroid disorder, high blood pressure, heartburn and acid reflux, and type 2 diabetes. Let's put that fact over in the other corner. Drug companies don't even like to make claims and that there's any cure. They'll even tell you our medication is for treatment. Like mowing your lawn isn't a cure. It's a treatment that needs to be done over and over for the rest of that blade of grass's life. I've taken 9 precious minutes. Actually, wait, I've taken 10 minutes and 12 seconds to help you to see that if you're eating a westernized diet, you will likely have metabolic syndrome symptoms, which means that you'll also be on medication for the rest of your life with all of those side effects, with an increased chance of hospitalization and even death. And it will put you even at greater risk and steal your hard money away because they cost so expensive. I've taken your precious time for you to know that there's a better way, a healthier way, and a less costly way. Now, that's the introduction to the video that you'll have. There'll be another 25, 30 minutes of going into detail about what the science has found about metabolic syndrome, about how to overcome it easily, and about the 3Believe program. You'll be able to have that as a marketing tool to all of your family, your friends, and strangers. It will be very, very compelling. I want you to ask, as you went through that, many of you that have been here already, you've heard me say some of those things already that I rehearsed tonight in that 10-minute and 30-second script. Did you feel compelled? Did you feel an emotional movement or attachment to any of that information? How did you feel about drugs? Some of you may still be on some medications, and perhaps prior to listening to that 10-minute rant, you weren't too concerned about the medications you were taking because it's so prolific, because everyone takes it. If everyone's doing it, it can't be that harmful. My doctor gave it to me, for heaven's sakes. But I bet you didn't know that 340 people die every day from just weird side effects from medications. It's not Mother Nature's solution. Mother Nature's pharmacy is food. Food got us into trouble. It was just the wrong ratio of Mother Nature's food that got us in the wrong place. Now we can add that there's some commercialization to our food. There are some artificial ingredients, there's some preservatives, and some chemicals, artificial sweeteners, or man-made sweeteners like high fructose corn syrup, things like that, that have contributed. We've made food of the wrong ratios so convenient, like fast food restaurants or sit-down restaurants that offer. Have you ever had those deep fried onions? You know, you take an onion, you dip in that yummy spicy batter, and then they deep fry it. One of those has, I read, 5,000 calories in one of those onions. One of the fattest treats or foods, appetizers that you can eat. We never had those kind of products 20 and 30 years ago. And so it is the advent of those things. It's not that the food in itself is so harmful. It's the constant ratio of those macronutrients. When I talk about macronutrients, I'm talking about the balance of the omega fats, the proteins, and the carbohydrates. And all our solution is just using Mother Nature's formula and putting those foods back into the right category. Now, sure, we turn up the heat a little bit by giving you food that's not polluted with any artificial ingredients. They're all of the finest quality and offer the very best in natural, but also mixed with a little bit of science. Let me give you an example of some of the things that we've done. One of the ingredients that we have in our CMR shake, and we're going to have it in a capsule form so you can get extra dose. Why do I want to do that? Why do I need to give you an extra dose? Well, Callie, my wife, and I, we take an extra amount. Whenever I'm feeling a little extra anxiety or stress or a long day, I take a little extra of it. My wife is a boost to improve the quality of her sleep. She'll take some before she goes to bed. So let me give you some results about ashwagandha. Ashwagandha is a classification of an herb called an adaptogen. So far, there's only 13 identified plants that are known as adaptogens. Adaptogens are basically a plant that provides, you could identify them as the true superfoods. You've heard a lot of foods make the claim of superfoods, but an adaptogen plant, just Google it, ADAPTOGEN, and it'll tell you what an adaptogen is. But ashwagandha is an adaptogen. It's been used for over 3,000 years in India, in the East. It's part of their lifestyle. And so it has great stories and medicinal purposes there. But let's talk about science for a second now. There's been many studies that show that it reduces blood sugar levels for both type 1, type 2 diabetics. As much as 13.5 points over a 4-week period. Just a 4-week period of time, it dropped at 13.5 points on average. It has anti-cancer properties. It impedes the growth of cancer cells is how it works. It has, what it does is it has to generate a reactive oxygen species called ROS, which are toxic to cancer cells, but they're very helpful and regenerating for normal cells. Another mechanism causes cancer cells to become less resistant to regular cellular death. So they expire sooner, shortens their lifetime. The studies have been shown to be helpful for breast cancer, lung, colon, brain, and ovarian cancers are the ones so far that have been studied. In one study, it showed that it reduced ovarian tumors 70 to 80% tumor growth. Great responses and work being done with ashwagandha in the cancer area. It reduces cortisol levels. Now, that's known as the stress hormone. It also it restricts burning of stored body fat. It shows that it reduces cortisol levels so that you don't have that much stress, that much inflammation, as much as 30% drop of cortisol levels. It helps reduce stress and anxiety that I talked about. In a group, a 60-day study, over 60 people were measured their chronic stress, and they reported that they felt that their stress reduced by 69%, 70% of anxiety and insomnia. In another study of 6 weeks, so it was a month and a half, it showed that 88% people that took it had a reduction in anxiety. So what that study showed is that the first 60 days it reduced at 69%, and just in another 6 weeks added to that, it boosted it up to 88%. Great numbers. Ashwagandha shows the symptoms or a reduction in depression. A 60-day study showed that 600 milligrams showed a 79% reduction in severe depression. The group was split into a group that received a placebo and some of the ashwagandha, and those didn't get anything got a 10% increase in depression. So that definitely showed that it worked there. It boosts testosterone and fertility in men. In a study of 75 minutes showed that those that had zero sperm count, it showed that they actually started producing sperm count and mobility. In another study, it showed that after 3 months of treatment, 14% of the men's partners had become pregnant. So if you don't want to get pregnant, watch your ashwagandha dosage. Ashwagandha may increase muscle mass and even strength. It showed that it gained muscle mass and lost body fat at the same time in just a study of 30 days. In fact, it showed that it more than doubled the reduction of body fat percentage of those that took it versus those that didn't. One that's a big topic for me, is reduction of inflammation. It shows that it actually lowers the C-reactive protein. So that's one of the measurements of inflammation in the body, and it reduced that by 36% of body inflammation. It showed that cholesterol and triglyceride levels dropped. Cholesterol by as much as 53% and triglycerides by 45%. These are great numbers. It shows that brain function is improved. An increase in memory was increased significantly in one study. And so those are the reasons why I put ashwagandha and why we will be providing it for you in capsule form. You can add as a supplement for those that need it. There's actually more studies. I buy it from a company made in India. They're the only ones in the world that have patents on their extract that has been proven to be the most effective in the world. Their particular studies show, if I'm trying to pull it up here, in addition to the ones that we just talked about, it shows that a great in respiratory recovery for athletes shows here by almost 200% in recovery time, which is great. Muscle strength recovery. This one talks about female sexual function. We talked about the men before, but these were with women in their libido. It talks about memory and cognitive ability. We talked about anti-aging. One study showed that it increased. Now this one, there's an ongoing one in humans, but this one was in wild type of wild worm, that their life expanded by 20% by just taking ashwagandha. So you may live longer. And thyroid. This one shows that it improves thyroid function, both of T3 and of T4. And this is just the benefits of ashwagandha so far. And I'm sure that there'll be more and more as time goes on. So that's why I put ashwagandha into the formula, along with the other 80 ingredients. And I told you that every week we'll go over one of the ingredients. what's in the formula, and that covers my obligation to go over one, which is your questions on ashwagandha. I got a little list here of some things that people want to know about. Why are the scoop in the bags of the CMR different sizes for if they're both P22, but different for the P6, I'm sorry, the chocolate and the vanilla? The reason why is because the formula that I have to use to flavor the chocolate is not the same as it is for flavor purposes, the vanilla. The formulas for active and function in your body at the cellular level is exactly the same. They don't change from chocolate to vanilla, but it takes me more ingredients to make the vanilla taste like vanilla and cover up all those nasty, natural, good for you botanicals that I put in the formula. It's just chocolate is stronger. It has a greater masking ability for nasty flavors. And so vanilla, I just require more. And the reason why the P6 and the P3 are different sizes is because I'm reducing the amount of protein, but increasing the amount of enzyme formula. Well, for every gram of protein that I reduce and I increase by enzyme, it's not gram per gram. It's about 1,000 the ratio. So you can use 1,000 times less enzyme as I just add back into the formula as 1 gram of protein that I take away. It's just because enzymes are really very, very potent and concentrated, and I don't need as much. And we've already gone over in other programs of why we reduce the amount of protein in the P22, the P6, and the P3 because your digestive quality is improving. And if you get too much protein, your body, your liver, and your kidneys are overworking more than they should. And as long as you're not losing muscle mass, you should reduce as Renee did in her testimony. If you remember, she was at P3. You should reduce down to the lowest number you can be without losing muscle mass, which is another reason why you should be having the bio scale when you first set up. Otherwise, you wouldn't know. What is the proper handling of the smart foods? Part of it is just read the label. So when you get the smart food in your shipment, you want to read the label, and if it says the refrigerator to freeze it. That is the best. If you remember, I don't put any synthetics in there, any preservatives in there except for some natural formula that I've come up with. But it's only about 80% as effective as synthetic preservative. They're not as strong. But they work about 80% as well. So you want to put them in. I always let's just take the muffins, for example. I'll take the muffins and take them right out of the container and put each one in a Ziploc sandwich bag and stick them back in the freezer. That will preserve the taste and quality, the moisture content of the frozen food when you open it up to remove the very first muffin. And then if you just close it in a clamshell, stick it back in the freezer, you're going to have some of that dry frozen air come and wick away the moisture, and it won't taste as good. So that's what I asked you to do. And then it's also easier to prepare because it's in one little muffin in its own separate little bag. You can grab it and toss it in your carry bag, and off you go for the day. So just read the labels. I like to refrigerate everything. Probably the only thing I don't refrigerate is the chocolate, the Senza Colpa chocolate, and the peanut butter. Everything else, and the corn chips. Those are about the only things I don't refrigerate. It's a great, inexpensive preservative. Extends the life of any food, and so that's the directions that I'd follow. The last question it seems like we've been having is how do you know if someone's in ketosis? How do you know if you've fallen out of ketosis? Well, part of it is that you one of the indications is check your numbers on the scale, not your weight. Now remember, it doesn't matter what you weigh, it matters why you weigh what you weigh. How much muscle, how much water, how much fat does your body have? And those components is the sum of your body weight. Your body weight can go up. I want you to be more hydrated because most Americans are dehydrated. So don't measure on body weight, because if your hydration's gone up, that's a good thing. Look at your body fat percentage. So if you've seen that your body fat percentage has crept up and you've been, that's one indication that you're out of ketosis, because the definition of ketosis is you're producing ketones. Ketones are only created when your body is burning stored body fat. And so that's one indication. Another one is your energy level. Once I know that if I'm going out for a weekend and I don't actually happen to have my my blockers with me, that block the fat and carbs, and I have a little bit more carbohydrates in that particular meal, the next day or even couple of days, depending on the amount of carbohydrates I had, I'll feel sluggish and tired. It actually sucks energy out of me. And of course, my weight will go up. Now, it is possible that on your scale, your hydration weight will go up, but that is, I'm sorry, your body fat will go up, but that's a temporary number. Don't freak out. You got to remember that glucose is a very lonely molecule. So when you eat a carbohydrate, it's broken down into a glucose. When I say it's lonely, here is your glucose molecule. It, by chemical design, will go out and grab 4 water molecules. Here's your glucose. It goes and grabs 4 water molecules. And so now you've increased the weight by 4 times. 94 grams of carbohydrates eaten. So if you check the label of the food that you just ate and you see that you ate 94 grams of carbs during a sitting or during a couple hours of consumption, you're going to gain a pound of weight overnight. Let's go over that again. That doesn't mean that 94 grams weighs a pound. It means that 94 grams is going to go and multiply its weight by 4 times because it attaches itself to a water molecule. When it does that, your body doesn't get to use it anymore. That glucose molecule basically says to the rest of your body, look, I'm stealing this water, and you guys don't get to use it. No other cell in the body gets to utilize this water molecule that I just took from you. The glucose has a commanding power to take any cellular, whether it's in your stomach, whether it's in your veins, whether it's even in the tissue, wherever it is most easily obtained, it will steal it. And it will hold on to it depending on a couple of biological factors. One, what is your burn rate? How much are your activity level up? Are you putting a heavy demand of energy on the body, requiring it to burn energy? And if it has glucose available, it's going to burn that before it burns ketones, right? Always remember, a fat molecule and the glucose molecule are sitting there in your bloodstream at the same time. Which one's it going to choose? Every single time it's going to choose the simple molecule, the most easily broken down molecule available. And that's always glucose. It's never fat. Fat is a very complex molecule. Depending on the fat, anywhere from 20s to a 30 chain molecule compared to glucose can be, depending on the glucose, anyone from 3 to 4 chain molecule. It's going to choose the easiest path. You would do that too, right? So it's going to have to burn off all that glucose. As it burns off that glucose from the Mexican dinner, the Italian dinner, the popcorn and chips and soda that you drank at the movies, as it burns that off, then the water will be released and you will excrete it. You'll do it through your breath, which is where you lose most of your water, by the way, throughout the day, more than sweating and more than urination and more than through your feces. Breathing out and in is where you lose most of your water. And after that's gone, then you will go back into ketosis as long as you don't restock your body with more glucose. So watch out for that carbs. And doesn't matter if it's simple or complex. Your body has to process it. Just simple means it'll burn it breaks down faster, and complex means that it's broken down over a longer period of time. Either way, you're going to get that converted to a glucose molecule. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of insight into how you know you're in ketose or not. You can always do the keto strips, only really effective for type 1 diabetics. There is some work, by the way, with some companies, and I'm testing them out to see if they'll work for us, that you can check. You got to prick your finger, but it will check and see if you're producing an accurate level of ketones in your blood. So I'll keep you posted on that. Exciting information. So Merv, I am done with my rant. I have nothing else to say. Is there anyone out there that has any questions?
A lot of good information.
Thank you.
A lot of good information. Anybody have any questions? Anybody?
Hi, Jason.
Questions?
Hello.
Yeah, I've always said that when you're drinking water, you should put sodium or something like that into it to go into your cellular. Does lemonade, just pure lemon extract, putting into the water, does that help that to be absorbed into your cellular?
That's a good question. Okay. What the question is, I'll repeat it. When I drink my water, like this here, I always, now I'm taking the sodium, the hydrate pills, just like you do, the electrolyte pills. I'll take anywhere from 3 to 4 of these a day. I tell you to take at least 1 to 2, but I'm a sweater because I'm at the gym pushing, so I'll take a little extra. And then when I'm drinking my water, I'm drinking 1.5 of these a day, I'll add salt to my water. And I just do it enough right before I don't taste it as salty water. And you do that and your water will actually taste better. The reason why you do that is because the truth is your cells can't hold on to the water molecule, hydration, very well at all. It's like your hand cupping water. It's going to leak through your fingers and over the edges, right? But your hand can hold on to a cup very efficiently and not miss a drop. And the cup holds on to the water. In this illustration, the cup is sodium and water retentive minerals, calcium, magnesium, potassium, and sodium, right? But the number one is sodium. So if you have sodium in your body, then it will hold on to the water. Your tissue will hold on to the mineral. It can hold on to minerals much better than hold on to water. So his question was, can I use pure lemon juice extract or unsweetened lemon juice to accomplish the same task? The answer is no, you can't, even though lemon juice does have some trace elements of water retentive minerals. It does have some, right? And so it's not like you don't get any benefit, but it's not very much. When you use lemon juice, is it healthy? Absolutely, but it does other things. Lemon juice is a natural cleanse great for your digestion and for your kidneys. Not to mention for your bowels. Those that have a difficult constitution or maybe a little bit constipated, or to restart your bowels and being on a regular cycle, take lemon juice in the morning. When you first get up in the morning, I want you drinking water anyway. Why? Because you spent all night long breathing without drinking. And I told you earlier, that's how we get rid of most of our hydration, is through breathing. So if you, in the first thing in the morning, I want you to rehydrate, put a little bit of salt in your water, but put a little bit of lemon juice, and that combination, the lemon juice, the ingredients in the lemon juice will prompt your bowels to have a bowel movement. You'll notice that you'll go faster. It just tells it to wake up and get things going. Plus, it's also a natural cleanse. It can flavor your water. But don't take the lemon juice to replace the sodium. I encourage you to take lemon juice and water, and if you want lemonade, use our sweetener, you can sweeten it. Then you've got lemonade without the negative side of getting glucose in your body. Great question. Any others? Hey, Merv, let me ask you, that script that I read for the video, you as a consumer, tell me what your impressions was. What do you think of that?
I think it was fantastic.
What,
Yeah,
why?
fantastic.
What did you hear anything that you didn't know before, or something that surprised you?
The thing that impressed me was most people do not understand and realize that that we have this problem. Most people don't get serious about something until they start experiencing a health problem, and what that does is it shares with us the need for everybody to do what they can to keep from having a problem, because most people, if they're healthy, they think that they don't need to do anything but just wait till they have a problem, and it's just not true. They need to do what they need. They need to take our program so they do not have a problem. That's what impressed me.
Well, indeed. I mean, you bring up a good point. It's the fact that we should do everything we can to eliminate the chances of us taking medication. It's
Right.
not a solution. It's a Band-Aid, and it has very, very compromising and even deadly side effects. Now, that's not to say any of you, if you're in an accident and you're in an emergency room, don't be a crazy person. Don't tell the staff there, I'm not taking any medications. I don't want any of the side effects. Right? Medications can be very effective in the short term. And if you're if you're servicing your doctor, and also any of you that are on medications right now, don't stop taking them all of a sudden. That could be your body is dependent on them at a point, especially if you've been on it for a while. Just verbalize to your physician that you want to get off them, and have them help you, and then
Right.
share with them our program and how our program might be able to assist in that task. But do not just stop taking your medication, okay? Promise me that none of you will do that automatically. You talk with your prescribing physician and have them work with you. Okay.
Right. Yep.
All right.
True.
Well, I'm done for tonight. I appreciate all that all that you do and all that you've been here. Until next week, keep up the good work. Be a blabbermouth. Do not keep the secret to yourself, and share. You heard the news of the risk of those that are on medication. Help them get off the medications that they're on and improve the quality of their life. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Thank you, Jason. That was great.
Good night.
God bless.
God bless.
Good call, everybody. Good night. God bless you. Good call.